What's going on, everybody? It is Cast Haste back again with some more Daily C races, this time in GR3 cars on Kyoto. Let's get into it. I'm going to be rocking the BMW Z4 GT3.
Love it. What kind of circus are you trying to put on here?
The right one.
The fun one.
Yeah. Alright, here we go. My goal is to just chill. Do clean lines and chill. I don't care about anyone else. I just care about what I'm doing and chilling. Right?
Chilling.
Just do the right
Just
thing.
daily chilling.
Daily chilling. As you can hear, my goal was simple. All I wanted to do was have a clean race, clean laps, gain positions, and if I keep my times in a really good spot, even though they're not the best, I can always end up ahead of where I started, right? So, going into this race, we wanted to do one thing: keep it clean. Now, obviously, Kyoto is very fast. There's a lot of high grip, high speed corners, and so consistency kind of gets difficult.
So it's just the Samsung noise over and over.
But with that said, that was our goal, and as we come down into the very tight right-hander going on to the bottom half of the track, we are still just chilling in 7th. It is a nice tight battle here between all of us, but it's about to heat up here in a second. As we can see, everyone keeping nice tight lines through that very quick chicane. If you're doing it right, you should be flat out. Now here I tried to hook onto these curbs, because if you hook onto the curbs, you can gain tons of speed and momentum through them. They grip your car and really you stick onto them. And there are quite a few curbs that you can do that here in Kyoto. And as we continue on these, there's a lot of very tight sections here in Kyoto and a lot of very tricky little things that you can do to speed up your laps and really lose time. But as we go into this corner and I go to hook that curb, I didn't realize that he was going to try and make a move behind me, and he goes for the dive, but ultimately it kind of backfires. As you see, he snags himself a nice little penalty and then travels off into the wall. Bye! Anyways, now, still in 7th position because the Beetle managed to squeeze through with our little incident there. But we're still in the battle. Everyone is still right here, so now it's time for the Beetle and I to just work together and try and catch the rest of the pack before they pull away. If we start fighting here, well, ultimately we're both going to end up slower and we're both going to lose this pack. So, let's just stick with the Beetle, try and run clean lines, keep our speed up, and hope that he doesn't pull away from us. Going into this long left-hander, you want to brake really late and trail your brakes into this curb and just hook it. As you can see on the insides of that curb where I popped off, there are a lot of tire marks. And unfortunately, that Volkswagen had a bad time on that outside curb, and we are gifted the position. Now, going back to that curb, if you really hook that curb, you can gain tons of time. So much time. And it's very, very easy to do it. Now, granted, the curb is kind of a double-edged sword, because if you don't enter it fast enough, you won't actually get the advantage that it can provide. As you can see throughout all of these races, I really was trying to get to the curbs. I just kept slightly overspeeding, just missing the point where the curbs would hook my inside wheels, but not my outside wheels. When I got it, it was good. When I didn't get it, well, it could have gotten better. But just relaxing, trying to run fast laps, and trying not to lose this pack in front of us is our goal right now. We're just gonna stay ahead, hit our marks, and try and stay clean. But unfortunately, broke a little bit late, get a nice little wiggle, and immediately botched that plan. That happened a lot here at Kyoto. It seems to be kind of difficult to stay consistent because of how much is going on. Everything feels very fast, everything feels very high grip, and you want to make sure that you are able to control the car at all points, but you also don't want to lose speed. Now, all of these drivers have been more or less pushing around these curbs, and at first I thought maybe I was doing it wrong, but then I started talking to Geet, who was in the chat with me, and he was telling me that no, I was correct. I had watched Coque Lopez do these curb rides, and he was gaining so much time on the people he was racing by doing that, and so I was trying to do it originally, but as I saw the community avoid those things, I thought I might be doing it wrong. So I tried a couple the other way, following the racers ahead of me to see if maybe mimicking their lines could help me catch them, but ultimately the curbing is faster. It just really depends on how you're able to enter the corner and whether or not you can enter the corner at high enough speed to gain the advantage of the grip. If you go too slow, you go over the curb all the way and you can easily spin. If you go too fast, you pop out of the curbs and you don't get the advantage and probably lose a couple tenths in the process. So, if you can get those inside wheels inside of the curb and keep your outside wheels outside of the curb, you're going to have a better time on most of these. Now, the first turn is a little bit different, but we'll explain it as we start to come up to it here. For now, we're just going to go ahead and look and see how this new BRZ does in our GT3 class. This final turn here, I kept finding a lot of time. A lot of people were trying to enter it very late, and I found that if I downshifted and entered early, I could find a really good grip line and really catch a lot of time in that corner. Now sometimes on the exit I wasn't getting quite the exit speed, but the overall time gained during the entrance of the corner still made it worth it by the time we got down to turn 1. On that curb turn, I made a little bit of a mistake and didn't enter that turn quite as fast as I needed to. That ultimately compromised my exit, and the Ford GT was able to squeeze past. Luckily, he's still right there. We can still continue to fight for our position, and hopefully he doesn't just pull away from us. Ford GT is very fast, but we also have a lot of grip and a very fast car ourselves here in the BMW Z4 GT3. Unfortunately, I missed another curb hook that could have potentially brought me back to being even closer, so instead, I think the goal here is to swap mindsets. My head got flustered because I was thinking about, oh, he's ahead of me. He got ahead of me. What do I do? And instead of doing that, I need to continue to focus on track and my car and how it is responding to my inputs and what is happening with me. Now, as you can see, as soon as I started doing that, I found that really nice curb hook, and we're right back on the bumper of the Ford GT. Now, we just need to wait, and just keep doing what we're doing. Hit our marks, and look at that. The door opens on that exact corner I was just talking about with that early entrance. Leave him the room as he's on the outside. That's fine, but now we're side by side with him, and that is amazing, especially off of one. Go ahead and move over, make sure he doesn't get hit by the unghosting car, and unfortunately he just kind of washes a little bit going into T1, and I give him a nice pat on the back for it. But the race is on, and we are still here battling front to back, very close, and it's been an extremely good race. Both of us are driving very, very well. We've been exchanging. But he seems to really want to overspeed and take the super wide lines into each of these fast sweepers, which also could be very, very good, but the curb seems to be the way to go. You seem to be able to carry more speed because of the hook, and even more speed than you could on the outside. If you really, really get it right, you gain tons of time on each and every one of those long sweepers that you can hook. And even a lot of the tight hairpins that you can hook, you can gain time. As we go into this, I just missed the clip, but we're gaining again because of his little wiggle from the overspeed into the corner. Both of us still front to back. Amazing battle back and forth here. Just so close. And I just didn't realize that people had gotten close to me. We were having such a good battle, I got sucked into it, and I stopped paying attention to the things that I needed to pay attention to, namely my surroundings. And so I got dove again, and realistically, I'm shocked neither of us walked away with penalties. Hey, it is what it is. But now we're getting into an even tighter battle as the Z4 in front of us makes a small little mistake and opens the door for the Ford GT, who slips right by. Now, my goal is to stick with them and continue this battle, and once again, here we are on that last corner. You really get that nice early turn in, you can maintain tons of grip and really, really push through and stay in people's toe while also gaining tons of time. Tons and tons of time. Although I do seem to lose a little bit of time on the exit, like I said, overall, I think you're gaining time on your opponents if you're doing that. Now, we're going to go ahead and just go back to our strategy of relaxing, running our laps, and trying to maximize our speed as much as possible. Now, because of the wide lines from the Ford GT, I really started to think maybe I should be trying the other ones, because I haven't given them enough of a shot. And so I started to kind of avoid the curbs in certain turns that I had previously been making sure that that's the line that I take. Maybe a mixture of those two lines is really the way to go, but that inside curbing is just very, very strong. And you want to take advantage of it. So another thing I wanted to really mention about Kyoto is these brakes, where the bottom half of the track and the top half of the track connect, and it happens where these two hairpins are super tight together. On both of those turns, there are bumps, and if you aren't careful with those bumps, you can just spin. And it's very, very easy to just spin in those sections. So what you really want to do and what you really, really want to keep in mind is where those bumps are. As you enter those corners, you will visually see a bump, and you will also feel, I say with quotes, air quotes, I know you can't see me, but I am quoting, feel the bump. Once the bump happens, you can start to accelerate. If you accelerate before the bump, you'll simply spin, because your wheels will lose traction, your engine will get going, your wheels will start spinning, and you're done. You're just gonna spin, you're not gonna have a good time. So, you need to be really cautious during these parts. Now, we're coming up to the first section. We brake heavy just before that second white line, coast through, bump, now we can get on the gas. And as you see, once you make sure that you're up over that elevation change, you are on the flat road and your car is settled, that's when you can get on the gas. If you do it before that, you are definitely going to spin. Unfortunately, I found that out the hard way, but that's later. That's for later, right? There. Did you see that BMW hook that curb? How much time he gained from hooking that curb is absolutely wild. Great line through that corner. Great hook on the curb, and as you can just see, there's just so much time gained. And now, I'm falling behind. But, watch, there it is again. Do you see the two-wheel hook? Look at how much he gained and how fast he slingshotted out of that corner. Amazing how much you can really gain from those curbs. Now, it's difficult, but it's worth it. It's dangerous, but it's worth it. And as you can see, he does the same thing here, just like I was doing. He hooked the inside there, and look at the gap start to split. Now, this gap would have been bigger, but the Ford GT is still in the tow. I am in the Ford GT's tow, and we are both trying to catch him, but he gets a really nice entry, but bounces out of the curb, and here is where I take advantage of the curb to pass the Ford GT.
Look at that. Wow, look at the exit speed. What the fuck?
As you see, I was able to maintain and gain way more speed in my exit speed.
It's so good at it.
Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy exit speed. Getting those curb lines is seriously important. They're difficult, but they will make a massive difference in your lap times and your ability to battle side by side on this track, especially if you already know the outside lines. Now, I'm not sure if that BMW was starting to feel the pressure or what, but they obviously hit the gas too early or hit the brakes too late going into that massive elevation change hairpin. You just can't do that. It's better to really enter that slow and lose a little bit of time there just so you don't do what that person did. Now, unfortunately, I've made a mistake, but that person behind me followed up with another mistake, and the BMW gets back through in front of both of us, and immediately he makes a mistake, and we are off to the races for this finish. I'm not sure what happened, but over that elevation change, everybody had problems. I think someone might have clipped a curb too much and gone into the wall. I'm not going to say why I think that, but you will see why I think that later on. But either way, I choked this one. I choked it in an area that I really wasn't making mistakes throughout the night, and I'm very sad that I threw this one away. But it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. All I could do right now is try and maintain what little I had left. since I threw away the podium. Ah well, it is what it is. Still a great race, right? Still an absolutely great race. And we bring it across the line in 4th place during our first race here at Kyoto. On to the second race at Kyoto, still rocking the BMW Z4. All of these races will be in the Z4. Tonight, I might try and do more in a different car, and who knows, maybe we'll make another video. But race 2, starting a little bit further back in the pack. That's okay. I know that my qualifying time is not the greatest qualifying time and definitely has room for improvement. But as we come through this section, I hit the curb and the person behind me follows me into said curb, while the Nissan in front of me also gets a penalty for track limits. And we're already off to an amazing start. I used the curb on the inside there to make sure that I could solidify that pass on the Nissan and start to move forward in the pack, as we see both the Nissan behind me and myself avoid getting dive bombed by someone who forgot that there was a hairpin. It all happens so quick. You just gotta be paying attention, and that's definitely something I need to start doing more, is paying attention. Might help to look behind me every now and again. Oh well. Anyways, back to the races. I was really feeling pretty confident after the last race, despite my last lap blunder, and I was feeling comfortable in most of the areas, a lot more comfortable than at least a lot of these drivers were, but I kept finding myself making different mistakes this time than I was making the first time around. Now, I'm not sure if this had to do with adjustments that I had made slightly mentally, or if I was just, I don't know, brain farting in those areas every single time I came up to them. I'm not sure. Either way, I was making mistakes in different places during this race than the first race, or even the next one. And it was starting to show, especially in the tighter areas of the track. I was starting to realize that I was leaving a lot of the door open for people to make better brake moves into those corners for me. Now, I know I just got done talking about how it's probably better to just, go a little slower and lose a little bit of time to make sure you don't crash there, but I was getting to a point where that wasn't exactly working for me. So I'm now needing to push and understand and make better. Now this yellow flag comes up. There goes one, there goes another, and I have absolutely no idea what happened to either of them, but I'm guessing they got tangled up as there were two cars, and that corner is very fast and very easy to crash on it, especially if you're trying to pass someone, which it's really not the spot unless it's coming out of the end of the chicane and you get a better line into the next long swooping turn. Just not really the spot to try and pass, because both of you are going to lose time. It's a fast section. You're supposed to be flat out. You're supposed to be going as hard as you can into those sections. And yes, you can pass there, but is it the smartest decision? Are there better areas to pass? That's really what you gotta ask yourself. And realistically, unless it's coming out of that chicane and up over the hill to make that pass, I would highly suggest avoiding trying to pass people in that chicane. It's not worth it. It's really, really not worth it. It can be race changing in a split second in such a bad way. I mean, maybe someone will agree, maybe someone will disagree, but those are just my thoughts on it. Now, we kind of hung out here in 6th for a while, just kind of lapping and driving, really. We were in a good spot. I wasn't pushing too hard, and I was really starting to find my comfort zone across the track. no longer felt like I was struggling to remember what was next, if that makes sense. I don't have a lot of experience on this track. As a matter of fact, all of my experience on this track is here, and what I've done on Kyoto in any campaign. I think I tried this one time on GTS, this track, but never actually continued or tried it again. So, fresh track. Luckily, I've been driving the Z4 GT3 in just about every event that I can. So, at least I wasn't totally learning a new car, and it's something I'm pretty comfortable with. But learning a track is a whole nother beast. So, coming down into this first tight hairpin over the elevation change, you can see the cars in front of me are starting to battle. And that's good, because that means that the Beetle and I can start to catch up as they start to lose time. Now, I'm falling out of the contention a little bit, but I also know that the Beetles are extremely good at this portion of the track. I kept getting caught here by them, and I know that that is the strongest, well, very strong, if not the strongest, GR3 car right now on quite a few of the tracks after the WRX had been nerfed. This seems to be quite the car. Everyone is picking it, and I can see why. It has every top 10 time on the leaderboard, and most people, even if they aren't driving it, are still setting their qualifying laps in this car. Now, the person ahead in third is... you can tell that the pressure is starting to get to them. They're making mistakes, they're doing small extends, and they're receiving penalties for these mistakes. Now, the three of us behind him just need to keep it clean, stay together, and pull ahead. And we're going to be able to do that as he serves his half-second penalty right there. And we are going to get a free gifted position into fifth. Gotta love it. Got to love it. But as we start to come around onto the fourth lap, we are still struggling to catch.
Oh wow.
Oh,
no.
Never mind.
No.
Yeah, so we were struggling to catch those two, but the Beetle decided that the chicane was a good place to pass, and as I just got done talking about, it is a horrible decision to try and pass there. Mainly because silly things like that happen. If someone's, say, too far on the inside, like the Z4 was, and clips curb and bounces out, you are full throttle. And you don't have a lot of space on the left to exit that turn should anything go wrong. So, there are lots of places to pass on Kyoto. Don't pass there. That's not it. But hey, gifted into a third, and we are going to get to running, but we get a little bit too much curb on the exit there.
Did you poo a little?
A little bit.
A little?
Just a little bit. As you can hear, there was quite a bit of stress, and I was very lucky to keep the car going straight, and I can't believe I didn't spin. I honestly thought I was gonna spin. I clipped way too much curb. You want to exit it before the curb ends, or else that can really happen. But hey, it's alright. We're still here. We still got a little bit of a gap, and we have 4 more laps to go as we come around into this final turn. Unfortunately, first and second have more or less gone off into their own race, and so it is me trying to lead this pack of what seems to be 1, 2, 3, 4 cars pretty close behind, 2 very close behind, battling. And hopefully we can just kind of keep our head down and get through the rest of these races without incident. But obviously it's me, and that's not going to happen. So instead of running consistent laps, I'm going to continue to want to drive faster ones. I really want to break that 20 barrier, and I just feel like race experience is really what's going to get me there. Hey, maybe it's just putting it together, who knows at this point. I definitely have not been able to do laps that I felt every corner was good or very good, but overall I'm still doing pretty solid across the entirety of the track. And honestly, I really enjoy the track. It's a lot of fun. I didn't think I would like this track all that much, but I do. And for those of you who are wondering, I do these races live on stream, twitch.tv/cast_haste, and then I take them in post and we edit them, and I talk over them and talk about what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what I was trying, my experiences, and how I really feel about these races. And with that said, I really like this one. I think that this is a great track with a great car set, and I like the combination a lot. I think there's a lot of room to race on this track, which is pretty unique nowadays, especially in most modern track designs, where a lot of times there is one line in most areas, and it doesn't really allow people to cleanly battle without pushing someone off or cutting someone out or just losing tons of time to people who aren't battling, where this track doesn't seem to be quite as punishing for you wanting to battle. Yeah, you're gonna lose time. That's part of battling. It's inevitable. But you're not gonna lose so much time that you and the person battling with you can't still pull away from the group, which is exactly what happened here with first and second place. Those two were off in their own world. They both had very similar qualifying times, and they were just moving. Absolutely moving. So, that is what it is, but if we're lucky, maybe we can catch them. Who knows? Well, actually, I know. We don't catch them. I'm sorry to spoil it. But, we do try. We do give it a good old try, and we do end up gaining quite a bit of time by the end of the race, but we don't ultimately catch them. Now, if you start to look at fourth place was in a Beetle, and had been moving up the pack during the past 2 laps, and had finally made the pass into fourth and got clean air. Now, their laps were faster than mine, just straight up. They really, really were. But that didn't mean I couldn't still win if I battled properly. Because yes, I'm slower, but if I put my car in the right spots and I don't open the door enough for you to actually get into a viable area to pass me cleanly, you know, we're in business. So right now my head is in, okay, look, I need to just keep it consistent. I need to go. This guy is catching me bit by bit, but if I can keep them around where I'm at, he's not going to catch me in time. It's just not going to happen. I just needed to not make mistakes. That's all. But hey, it happens sometimes.
Just one guy behind you or two?
It's just one. I didn't really see though. It's one because he's just been catching me the whole time, I do so believe. Yeah, it's just one. Unless there's another one, like another second and a half back.
as you can hear, I'm definitely aware that the person behind me is on their way. And every single section, when I would peek up to the split times, I would see 0.1, 0.2, dwindling little bit by little bit. But like I said, if we race this right, it's not going to matter. So my goal was making sure that my turns were covered and that all of the sections where I was more or less being kind of cautious, I started to pick them up just a little bit. Now, that might also be why I kept losing time in the areas that I was doing well. And as you can see, as we go into this last section, he's now under a second behind and still gaining. I get a pretty good section, or a pretty good curb hug through that section. As we go into the secondary elevation change, there's that bump. Now we can start to ease on the gas and get through. Now, the Beetle would catch me going into that corner every single time. I would gain exiting that corner every single time. But I kept ruining this corner, and so my time kept dwindling more and more and more as our laps went down. Unfortunately, I think the pressure started to get to me, and I didn't think about my brake points the way that I needed to, and ultimately that led to mistakes. You know, the mental game when it comes to racing is more important in a lot of cases than your skill, because you can have all the skill in the world, but if you can't keep your head straight, if someone else with all the skill in the world is next to you, you aren't going to have a good time, which I have a problem with. As you can see, I got worried about the person being that close, and as we go side by side, I tried to leave him room, but he turned in on me, and I accidentally didn't give him enough room. I thought I did. I really did. I tried very, very hard, and at this point, I started to kind of freak out because I'm a Forza player, and when things like that happen in the Forza community,
That's cool that he
they freak out.
normally, because I waited for him. And,
But as you can see,
oh, that's awesome. He waited.
and as you can hear,
Okay, that's cool.
the racer behind me who went for that move, they actually waited for me. I didn't expect that. I waited for them. It's just like something that I have always tried to do if I really know that I screwed something up, and I thought that was my fault. So I waited, but they also waited. Like, they saw me slow down, and instead of taking the position from me, they slowed down too after recovering. And like, what a great experience that was. That's so refreshing. But I was still kind of panicking. I hit a curb on the exit of that corner. I don't think I hit that curb the rest of the night, other than maybe like going onto it, but I actually like hit the curb, and I was definitely still a little flustered from the situation and kind of freaking out a little bit, because yeah, he waited for me, but were they still gonna be mad? Typically, even if people wait, they're probably still going to be mad, but it just wasn't like that, apparently. And I don't know, we'll see. I definitely left what happened in the post-race, so here we go. Around the final corner, and we bring this race home in third place. Our first podium here at Kyoto. And it felt good. It really did. It was a very, very good race. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of battling, a lot of position changes, a lot of gaining. And hey, I kept it pretty clean. It was only 10 seconds behind the leaders, who were right on each other's tails, and the only non-Beetle on podium. So now we're going to go ahead and jump on over to this post-game lobby. I still got a clean race bonus. so maybe it wasn't so bad. I immediately went to go and type sorry, and before I could even get my sorry Raph typed out, Raph said, "My fault, cast." It says castle, but that's probably like autocorrect. And even so, even with him saying I shouldn't pass there, I still felt very bad, and like maybe I didn't give the room I needed. I did, I'm pretty sure I did. But what a breath of fresh air. An absolute breath of fresh air to not get yelled at, to have a racing incident happen like that, and just it be okay. What an amazing feeling. Thank you, Gran Turismo, for another good experience. So let's go ahead and hop over to race number 3 here at Kyoto, where once again I start pretty far back, and my goal was to do the exact same thing. Hang out, relax, drive clean laps, if possible, and don't crash, if possible. Sadly, this race is not quite that. It's not quite that. But we'll get there, Let's just go ahead and hop on to the start of this race. Once again in the Z4, and we see immediately moving up into another position. We're going to go ahead and use this curb. I really like to use it on T1. I'm very good at it on T1. And move into 9th position as we take that from the BRZ. Sorry, BRZ. But that is mine. And we aren't done yet. We are on a charge this race. I felt good. I felt comfortable. I felt right. And I didn't want to be side by side so I could avoid things like that. And immediately it starts to pay off. We're going to go ahead and move side by side with this Porsche and try and make him stick this brake line, or the person who behind me will come in and destroy 6th place instead, and we won't get a clean race. But he's slapped with a 5-second penalty for that move. Very much so deserved. Very much so deserved. So, 6th place has been taken out, sadly, and we are going to be gifted another position for free once we come across to the final straight. But before we can even get there, the Beetle does exactly what I did at the end of the second race and clips too much curb, and unfortunately is unable to recover in time to keep the position. But still there, still right there with us. Not enough of a mistake to lose all the positions, but it doesn't look very good as we continue to battle with this Porsche. Now, my goal with this Porsche was to apply pressure into tricky areas like this and poke my nose into areas where I knew I might be able to get dives if they left the door open. And once again, on this final turn, here we are, gaining a position with the inside line. Now, I watch a lot of people take that line, and most of the people were taking it wide, and I'm sure that that's how they get those better exits. But again, I cannot urge you enough to find that line and figure it out, because you can make tons of super clean, very quick passes going into that final corner. And if you are ahead, you're going to force them into a situation where now you get to defend and choose your line going into turn 1. So, exit speed, yes, that's good, but if you can make a move on the inside and hold it going into turn 1, that's even better. But I digress. still battling with this Porsche, coming back into the heavy braking section. He goes a little deep, but because he goes so deep, he's able to get onto the power earlier and almost holds it, but we get a nice grippy line on the inside of that curb to keep us right here. I wanted to move over, but I might have moved over into, well, the guy I had the incident with in the last race, and I didn't want to do that. So instead, because I know he's faster, I messed up. Alright, I was trying to make it sound like a plan. I messed up, y'all. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. It just happened. But it's okay. I know that this Beetle is fast, and I know that the Beetle is going to help me get past this Porsche, because I already know I've had a race with this person, right? We've already been in a battle. I already know that it's going to be clean, so I can work with the Beetle to try and get around the Porsche so that both of us can continue to pull ahead and gain positions. Unfortunately, it goes a little deep, but I back out of the line just to let him push through, and he's able to use the speed that me backing out of that let him use to get around. Now, granted, I know that's not my teammate. I know I'm kind of racing like, oh, that is my teammate, and I'm trying to help them through, but I'm using them more or less as a teammate, and I honestly feel like they were attempting to do similar things as well. As you could see, moved over to the right early there and kind of moved where the draft and the toe was going to be so that I might be able to get into it. I just wasn't close enough to the side of the Porsche to actually make use of it, and so I had to let it go. But through these fast chicanes, I know I'm not going to pass here, and instead I'm just going to do everything I can to get as close to this Porsche as possible and try and get them to make mistakes in these fast swooping corners. I get a pretty good curb hook there. Probably not quite as fast as I needed it to be though, sadly. But coming down into this section, the Porsche now has hit the brakes earlier, trying to compensate from the last line, and it was too early, and I had to avoid the Porsche, unfortunately losing time, but in the process we were gifted a position as we saw that person off in the barrier, who definitely forgot to brake.
Good little battle in the beginning.
Still a good battle.
Luckily, I've been having tons of fun on this race, and it has, exactly as I said, been quite a good battle, and we are going to continue having quite the good battle here for the next 4 laps. I say the next 4 because the 8th has, we'll call them moments. Let's just call them moments, but we'll get there. So, as you can see, we are all here in this battle. Unfortunately, one of the Beetles has come with a penalty, and our friend Raf also seems to have a penalty. And the Porsche compromises its own exit, but my good exit is he was just too slow, and instead of getting past him on the left, I give him a little bit of a speed boost, and he stays ahead of me. Luckily, we are able to kind of hang out in the toe of the Beetle there, as both of them serve their penalties, and the Porsche and I are granted and gifted 2 positions, but now we can start to see the fatigue setting in, and I'm starting to feel it. I can see it on my curb entries. They're getting less and less consistent. I'm having harder times finding lines through these fast chicanes, and all in all, I can feel the fatigue starting to set in. Now, I still feel good at this point, but it's definitely starting to become something that I notice. And I can't exactly take a break and stretch and drink some water in the middle of the race. I'm busy racing. But the Porsche and I have now moved up into 5th and 6th respectively, as we are once again on the hunt for another Beetle. Please stop driving the damn Beetle. Anywho, as we start to come into this section, I'm not sure why the Porsche decided that that was the time to tap the brakes, but they did, and I hit them. I might have actually saved them from a spin, honestly, but who knows. But all it did was allow the people behind us to close the gap once again, and so I had to defend a little bit through that hairpin, and ultimately ended up losing another tenth or two to the Beetle and Porsche. But the Beetle seems to be going on extremely wide lines, which seem to be very good for that car for some reason, and absolutely taking off. Now, we've been doing the exact same thing to the Porsche that we've been doing every single lap, and kind of putting pressure on them into that corner before braking at our very last second. Now, the Porsche unfortunately didn't make the turn. Goodbye. I wish you well, but don't worry about it. Yeah, because it's gonna change. Don't you worry. Just watch. Just watch. For now, we're on to lap 5, trying to run down this Beetle. Now, this is a name I've seen a couple times, actually, and I was shocked that I was even able to stay with them, to be completely realistic, let alone catch and start to gain. Going into this high elevation change first hairpin, we can see the Beetle moves defensive. I did not move defensive, and ultimately I ended up losing the spot to the Beetle because of it. But because I was on the inside line, I had a chance to hold the position, but I just couldn't get close enough to maintain, or if not improve, my position off of the exit speed. Now, unfortunately, Trumpa seems to be trying to mix our lines and their lines together there with a little bit of a curb on the exit, but the curb seems to be backfiring a little bit for the Beetle. I kind of wonder if the Beetle still runs the curb lines like I've been doing on the Z4, because I know that a lot of the other cars I tried could do it, but had a way harder time doing it. And so with that, we're able to kind of use our inside grip lines to start to put pressure here, right? We know this Beetle's fast, we know it's going to beat us on the straights, and it just is what it is. But if we can compromise enough of the exit to maintain where we are, when we start going into certain sections like the fast chicane, we have a bit of an advantage. Now, T1 is also a place that you can get an advantage if you get a really good curb hug, but I just kept missing it ever so slightly on this run, and I think it was once again coming down to I am now so focused in this battle, and that is a bad thing, a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because I'm focused on what's in front of me, but it's a bad thing because I'm focused on the wrong things that are in front of me. Now, I started to notice this, and as you can see, my driving kind of calms down a little bit. And that's because I was like, look, I need to be looking at the road. I need to be looking not at his taillights, because if he overspeeds into something, I'm going to follow him. And that's a problem. So instead, I need to hit my marks and hope that my marks maintain the speed to keep pressure on him. But unfortunately, I get too close and I let dirty air get the better of me and completely miss my mark. It is what it is. It happens. It's okay. We still got, 2.5 laps to go? We got time. We just need to breathe. Stay consistent and run clean laps. If we can do that, we can continue to put pressure without even having to do anything. Because we're not trying to pass, we're trying to wait for an opportunity for the door to open. Now, unfortunately, I missed my braking point a little bit there and kind of tapped Champa, but sorry. And ultimately, I had to back out, which resulted in me now battling for 5th. Again, against another Beetle. Must have been the other Beetle that served the penalty, I'm guessing, prior. But I have 2 of them right on my tail. I have one of them in front of me, and me and the little Z4 are just trying to hang on for dear life as we go into the 7th lap. Now, we still have a lot of opportunity here, and there's still a lot that can be done. We just need to make sure that we get a good section through here, just like that, and we are able to start closing this gap again on the Beetle and making up the time we lost. Now the Beetle goes wide, and I go for the curb. And the Beetle goes for the curb this time on the end of their turn. Which gives him a little bit of grip, not quite as much as what I was getting maybe. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Leave it in the comments below. But we're gonna go ahead and stay here. We're doing well. He's still on those outside lines. We have a lot of grip on the inside with this Z4. So we're gonna just keep trying to poke. Keep trying to poke our head up into the Beetle just to make him think about it. And there. We finally get that pass because we were able to get the poke, and then we got the curb, and now we're able to keep it and move forward. We start to push now, right? Because we're in open air. We need to make sure that they stay behind us. We know the Beetle's fast through that section, but we also know that the Beetle loses time on this one. So make sure to maximize this area and try and get ahead as much as possible. I brake real early going in. I get the clip. We're good. But that was a sign. I didn't maintain the clip, and it was a sign. And then when I got to this corner, I really started to notice, oh man, I'm tired. All I had to do, though, was make it one more lap. And if I could do that, we were going to bring it home in 5th and have from 10th to 5th in a lobby where literally everyone had faster qualifying times than I did. I do so believe. I might be wrong there too, but the majority of the people had faster qualifying times. So all I had to do was hang on for this lap and keep it clean and bring it home. But that's when everything kind of went wrong. I clipped too much of the inside curb. My front rights went over the curb onto the grass. And I just lost control for a second. But luckily, they were still all right there. Maybe we could salvage it. But then, like I was saying...
And then I spin there? Really? Come on, man. I haven't spun there all night. Now I do.
And it's my fault. I did exactly what I was saying earlier. I got on the gas. I got on the gas way too early. And...
straight back to where I started, in the back.
I was sent to the back of the pack once again on the final lap. after clawing my way up from 10th.
I completely missed my mark here.
Just doing dumb things, everyone. Just not paying attention and doing dumb things. I lapsed in judgment. I didn't think about the bump. I got on the gas and I spun, and it could have been fine. It could have been recoverable, but then that spin really set me off, and my mental game was gone here, and I felt that I had already thrown the race, and so I kind of, I don't know, I just kept blundering like this.
And then I hit the icing on the cake, baby.
And then the cherry on top.
Love it. I love this. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, so, hey, you win some, you lose some, either way. It was still a great race up until I absolutely threw it, but I absolutely threw it, so we ended up in 12th after starting 10th, clawing our way up to 5th, and just sometimes they don't go your way, and this was one of them. Oh well, you win some, you definitely lose some, and it can happen just like that. But hey, that's it for me. There will be more videos on the way, but if you enjoyed it, please, I do ask, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe, because like I said, there's more on the way, more coming. But hey, until then, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.